Hello, welcome to Astronautics for Exploit. I am Dr. Ayashola Ogundele and I'll be presenting Lunar Space Tourism Companies, Facilitators of the New Frontier. The overview of my presentation is as follows: Lunar Space Travel and Lunar Space Tourism Companies. In the history of humankind, and for many centuries, the Earth's moon, our nearest neighbor in space, has been very fascinating, enticing, and source of curiosity. The urge to visit and explore the moon has led to sending many probes to it and envisioning of lunar vacation to the moon or within its vicinity. Many years ago, agricultural revolution transformed humans' lives. It brought about experimentation with new crops, new methods of crop rotation, and new kind of farming lifestyle. The new farming techniques gave soil time to replenish nutrients and thereby led to stronger crops and better agricultural output. These activities enabled human beings to feed themselves conveniently. After the agricultural revolution came the industrial revolution. The technologies produced during the industrial revolution period helped increase in production, inspired innovation, and improved processes in virtually any sector. This led to the increase of human weight and population. Today, space exploration is ushering in a new revolution of wealth creation made possible through humans' persistent and continuous interest in space and its exploration. Development of high innovative strategies and investment. Space exploration is helping humans to generate new scientific knowledge, creation of market, and source of inspiration to a lot of people around the world. The inspiration nature of space exploration is driving the urge of space enthusiasts to embark on lunar tourism to see for themselves what the moon and its vicinity look like. As a result of this, many companies such as Spacex, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic are developing space vehicles that will be able to ferry them to their respective lunar destinations. Lunar space travel. Today, in a way that was not possible before, trips to the moon for lunar tourism is becoming available to the public. The technological advances in rockets, computers, and other space-age materials are helping in making commercial lunar space tourism mission a reality. This picture shows artist rendering of the Deep Space Gateway, which will be a spaceport in lunar orbit. The space tourism company Space Adventures, a space tourism company, is planning to take some people for lunar travel around the moon. The plan is to first spend about 10 days at the International Space Station, then a 6-day journey to the moon and back. This picture shows a Soyuz with a logistics module attached runs the moon on a second lunar mission. Lunar space travel. The spacecraft being proposed by Space Adventures for the lunar travel will not land on the moon, but will simply loop around it and come back to the Earth. It will fly within a few hundred kilometers of the moon. This picture shows artistic rendition of the Starship firing its engines while passing by the moon. Lunar space tourism companies. A number of lunar space tourism companies are making endeavor to develop technologies that can convey people to the moon or around the moon. Some of the moon tourism companies are Space Adventures, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, Sierra Nevada Corporation, Golden Spike Company, Intuitive Machines, and Excalibur Almas. Moon tour provider companies developing disrupting technologies. Several moon space tourism provider companies are planning and developing disrupting technologies which will enable moon tourists to either visit the moon or circumnavigate it. Some of these companies have also put price for touring of the moon. This picture shows illustration of Starship on the moon. Space Adventures is one of the Lunar space tourism companies. Space adventure companies is venturing into lunar space tourism and aims to provide opportunities for large percentage of human beings to experience cycling of the Earth in a spacecraft, sojourning beyond the Earth's orbit and living in space. Space Adventures' plan is for our clients to have varieties of space vehicle choices for flying into different destinations in space. For example, the Moon. Why are the destinations of their choice? The client can perform various purposes such as lunar space tourism. This picture shows Dennis Tito, the world's first space tourist, whose space flight to the International Space Station was organized by Space Adventures Company. Future circumlunar mission. The company is also planning circumlunar mission where interested space tourists will be taken to within a few hundred kilometers of the moon's surface. The company is taking advance booking for the lunar tourism. Lunar Explorer. The Lunar Explorer will be able to circumnavigate the moon using circumlunar trajectory, see the illuminated side, far side of the moon, and then witness the amazing sight of the Earth rising above the surface of the moon. This picture shows space tourist Charles Simoe, whose spaceflight trip to the International Space Station was organized by Space Adventures. Deep Space Expedition Alpha is a flyby mission not involving landing on the moon being proposed by the Space Adventures to take the first space tourists to fly around the moon. The plans involved a modified Soyuz capsule docking with a booster rocket in Earth orbit, which then sends the spacecraft on a free return circumlunar trajectory that circles around the moon once. Ground-based training will also be involved. This picture shows space tourist Anozi Anzare, whose spaceflight trip to the International Space Station was organized by Space Adventures. Spacex is one of the lunar space tourism companies. It is experienced in launching space-bound flights and is prioritizing lunar space tourism and other forms of space travel extending beyond the Earth orbit. This picture shows SpaceX Starship on Launchpad. SpaceX Diamond Project. SpaceX is planning a commercial lunar space tourism mission around the moon for Yuzoku Maizawa, who intended to take 6 to 8 artists with him on the journey to inspire the artists to create new art. The mission referred to as Diamond is the first civilian mission to the moon and the moon loop flight mission, which will use a free return trajectory. The first tourist to fly around the moon on SpaceX's new rocket ship bought all the seats for artists. This picture shows Izuku Maizawa, who plans to take 8 people with him on a 2023 mission around the moon, which is being operated by SpaceX. Virgin Galactic, the world's first commercial space line. Virgin Galactic Space Tourism Company is the world's first commercial space flight. The company intends to connect people around the globe by space travel and aims to provide regular suborbital space flights for intended space tourists. Richard Branson's of Virgin Galactic has a dream for extraplanetary space tourism. As technology development improves, the company has the potential of sending space tourists to the moon. This picture shows Virgin Galactic fiercest unity. Blue Origin. The Blue Origin, a space tourism company owned by Jeff Bezos, designed a crew-carrying lunar lander known as Blue Moon for future moon missions, such as lunar space tourism mission and sustenance of human presence in space. The Blue Moon lander uses autonomous technology to land with precision. This picture shows Blue Moon lunar lander being developed by Blue Origin for future space exploration. Sierra Nevada Corporation is another lunar space tourism company. Sierra Nevada Corporation is developing habitats for life in Earth orbit and the vehicle to get people to the habitat. Some spaces in the habitat are designed for living and work, while others could house research labs or robotics stations. The abilities were originally developed for missions to the Moon and Mars. Sierra Nevada is maintaining its long-term goals, and there is possibility to involve in lunar space tourism future. This picture shows Sierra Nevada Corporation's large inflatable fabric Golden Spike Company. The Golden Spike Company was an American space transport startup which was active from 2010 to 2013. The company was designing crewed lunar lander as at the time of being operational. Cislunar Superhighway. The company, who envisioned the development of a reliable cislunar superhighway, commenced feasibility studies into commercial missions to the Moon from early 2010. This picture shows Spacex rendering of Starship. Mission profile of Golden Spike Company. It involved two sets of two launches from Earth to Earth orbit. One set for the lander and the propulsion unit to send it to Moon orbit, and the other set for the crew vehicle and the propulsion unit to send it to Moon orbit. The two propulsion units are then disposed of. In Moon orbit, the lander and the crew vehicle have a rendezvous, and the crew move to the lander. Then they land and return to the crew vehicle and return to Earth in the crew vehicle. This picture shows artist's concept of the Orion spacecraft doing a lunar flyby maneuver on its planned unpiloted test flight. Intuitive Machines. Intuitive Machines is working on its lunar program, which will provide lunar surface access, lunar orbit delivery, and communications at lunar distance. The company is developing lunar lander and reusable orbital vehicle. This picture shows Intuitive Machines Novosail lunar lander. Intuitive Machines lander is focused on the exploration and use of natural resources of the Moon. Its first commercial lunar mission through the Moon lander will attempt to land near a deep, narrow valley near Valles Scrotarii in a region named Oceanus Procellarum, also known as the Ocean of Storms. This picture shows Intuitive Machines' first lunar lander. Excalibur on Mars was a private spaceflight company which planned to provide a variety of deep space crewed exploration missions, microgravity science, and payload delivery. It aimed to offer low Earth orbit cargo and crew delivery and return. It also planned to ferry space tourists to the Moon. This picture shows Excalibur on Mars reusable return vehicle. You've been watching and listening to Lunar Space Tourism Companies, Facilitators of the New Frontier. Thank you.